Hey there. There. Not about that. Hey there. What we have here is Dragon Age Inquisition. The third, or if you want to argue, the fourth installment in the Dragon Age series. It's quite a bit of an old game. Not that old. If I'm not mistaken, it came out in 2010, I want to say. Or perhaps even no, that's incorrect. I believe it's 2015 potentially. Not sure, doesn't matter. Regardless, Dragon Age Inquisition, the third or the fourth installment. First one being the Dragon Age Origins, the second one, depending on your viewpoint of it, Dragon Age Awakening, then Dragon Age 2, and this one, Dragon Age Inquisition. There's, from my personal standpoint of view, I always liked the Dragon Age series. It's always been an interesting play, interesting story. Mechanically speaking, not the greatest. From the whole gameplay standpoint, I believe that the Dragon Age Inquisition actually shines in being the most interesting one when it comes to the gameplay mechanics. Story, it presents a lot of interesting factors that we're going to get into as we go on. Well, without further ado, as they say, let us get on with it. Kaboom! Talk about a big entrance, right? Well, in here we have the character selection screen. We have 4 races, which actually is one more than the Dragon Age Origins and Awakening presented us with. In those two, dwarves, elves, and humans were the only playable races. And in this one, Dragon Age Inquisition gives us the choice of playing a Qunari, which was a race technically introduced in the Dragon Age 2. There's a whole interesting story with them. Their society is quite interesting, and we'll get onto it as we go. For my choice in gameplay, honestly, what should we choose? Was thinking about a human, because humans are one of the more, well, the most common race. Elves are a bit of more, slightly, not exactly, but kind of on the extinction side of things, along with the dwarves. Elves and dwarves kind of get the shaft in the whole Dragon Age series and almost reach point of extinction multiple times. And Qunari always kind of doing their own thing on the side. Nobody really cared for it apart from like a couple of wars in the past. Regardless, the only difference in Inquisition that I have noticed that significantly lowers your, well, the immersion of yourself and your main character is because you don't really know who your character is. Their whole background, their whole story, their whole likes and dislikes kinda don't matter when you start the game. Everything that they were just kinda gets pushed back on the back burner, and they're almost a blank slate with very little mentions to your past. Well, in Dragon Age Origins, your character had a whole backstory. You had a whole history of what you did, who you knew, where you came from, what you've done to get to this point that, you know, all the stories in Dragon Age Origins meet and then go forward. You had much more in-depth look into your character's motivations. Well, in this one, slightly less, but you can still forge your own story. It could be more. Let's just say that it could be more than it is at the moment anyway. So, dwarves. I don't particularly want to choose a dwarf because of their viewpoints. Mainly, in other fantasy genre, dwarves are usually very fun. I mean, just look at the Lord of the Rings Gimli. I mean, who doesn't love that guy, right? Fucking brilliant. With elves, they're not Legolas types. The Dragon Age series does not present elves in the Legolas Lord of the Rings kind of style, with all those like secretive badasses that just do whoa. Have you seen that guy ride down the skateboarding down the stairs, shooting shit? They're not all that. Well, though. Yeah, well, let's go. Yeah, let's go human. Let's go human. I'm gonna make a dude. Why? I'm not really too sure why, but yeah, let's just. Now for classes, we have classes. I'll admit are limited in Dragon Age series in general. You have 3 classes to choose from. You know, one being a mage, another one being a warrior, another one being a rogue. That's not to say that the classes are defined by, oh, you're a rogue, you just know you stabby things, and that's it. And you warrior, you carry a big fucking weapon, and that's it, you're done. There are subclasses to the main class. I don't know how many of you are familiar with, but in the game called Path of Exile, the classes in there actually have advanced classes. Well, for example, a warrior can become a gladiator, and you can have all the other upgrades, or a mage, for example, can become a necromancer, and the whole skill set changes, and they do other stuff. But for this time, in Dragon Age, there are similar subclasses. They don't change everything about you, but they do give you much more flexibility later on when, you know, you can unlock those subclasses. What do I feel like? What do I feel like though? I feel for this gameplay it would be pretty good to maybe get a rogue, although rogues can get a little bit messed up, especially the dual wielding ones, because there is a mechanic in this game where you can apply shields to yourself. Essentially, there's the magic barriers which reduce your damage taken, almost gives you like a secondary life bar. So that this one is just made of a spell, you know, you boop and you got a barrier, and then your health doesn't diminish until the barrier is broken. And warriors have similar thing, but they have a guard. Essentially they gain like a shielding, same as a barrier, is just a warrior type of barrier. They just gain that, and then they can hold out and their health doesn't get damaged until the barrier is down. Rogues don't have that. What the rogues get, not much in terms of defense, really. They can go invisible and run away and maybe drink a potion if you still got some later. You know what? Let's go warrior. We're gonna go mess up some people. Now, I'll admit I don't have a lot of hours pushed into the Dragon Age Inquisition, as well as I have only played it when it came out on PlayStation 3 many years ago, and even then I didn't really play it all the way through because the PlayStation 3 version was kind of broken in a way. It didn't have, not broken in a way that I can't play it, oh my god. It broken in a way where the graphics were very much watered down, and a lot of models were glitching out, and a lot of armor was just losing textures, And I'm not a person who particularly cares for graphics. Like, I can play Minecraft and enjoy the fuck out of it, and then I can play something like PUBG and enjoy the fuck out of it too. But that's because I understand which style is made for the game, and this one was just bugged. Everything was bugging out, you know, limbs flying around, people being stuck in battle poses and you sliding across the floor. It just wasn't very well implemented for the PS3, so I just kind of gave up on it and was waiting for the PlayStation 4 release. And then it took some time, but recently it came with a discount on PlayStation Network. So, you know, as I saw it, my fanboy tickle was very much tickled. The little fanboy thing you got, where you're kind of forced to play a series, regardless of how bad it is going to be. You're just made to do it. All the Final Fantasy fans out there know what that means. You just keep buying those games. You just hope that Square Enix will eventually do something good, go back to those glory days. Maybe. If I buy this game, maybe. Here's hoping, anyway. Dragon Age Keep. Now, there is a funny story with this one. No, I don't want that. There is a bit of a funny thing with that one. Dragon Age Keep was designed to allow the choices you've made, the decisions you have, picked, to be transferred into Dragon Age Inquisition. Problem: it was made by EA. Yeah, that's generally the problem, that EA did it. So Dragon Age Keep doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Trust me, I've tried to get it to work. I've spent 5 or more hours just trying. I've made across all the multiple EA Origin services like 5 different accounts, just trying to get this goddamn piece of shit to work. It just doesn't want to work. No matter what you do, if you can't get it to work, I'm so jealous of you. But I can't. I just can't do it. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like, I'm not sure what this means, cause I remember making Dragon Age. Like, there you go. You can see 2015. I think that might be one of my old ones. I don't know. It could be. I have no idea. And I tried to make, an updated version. So all the choices I've made a specific Dragon Age Keep for that. And I just couldn't get it to upload. So this could be one of my old saves. Or it might as well not have been. Because look at the time it was made. I don't know. I really don't know. But you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, go on. I really wish the Dragon Age Cube would work. So sad, man. But I will try to point out at certain points where you interact with somebody you have in the past, and I will try to the best of my ability, describe what potentially could have happened. And here we go. That's our boy right there. Now, one thing I will give to EA is that their creation of character is actually very much well done. I I say that and I do this. But no, in reality the character creation screen is very extensive. You can play with all of the bones. To be fair, across multiple, if not all of them, across no, I'm gonna say across all of them, the Dragon Age series, you could very much, apart from Origins, because that was just an old game, but apart from Origins, you could make a very well created character to any kind of variety you could. If you wanted to play an old dude like you see, you could do that. Even in the old games, you could do that. Let's go with that one. Let's not make it too old. Okay. What color is that? I still don't know who we should make. Do we wanna make some copycat from some series or something like that? I don't know. Play something a bit of original. You know what? I saw yellow. Where's yellow? Is that yellow? It looks kind of yellow. That's more yellow. You know what? I have an idea. We are going to make a Witcher. Any of you out there played the Witcher series? I know, I'm sure there's some of you that played it. That's a pretty good series. They're usually paler. Yeah, that's Witcher pale kind of thing. The yellow though, I can't get the yellow. I think that's the most yellow we can get. Oh, that was pretty much more yellow, wasn't it? Well, you know what? I'm gonna try my best to recreate that. Yeah, I think that's the most yellow we can get. Well, yeah, the Dragon Age Keep. It's honestly, I'm not lying to you. I really tried to get it to work. Like I said, I've been sitting there for like 5 more hours than anything, if not longer, trying to get that piece of crap to work. But no, it's made by EA, so clearly that is not. So clearly that is not something that will work. I've tried contacting support help. None of that. Oh, that looks very witchery. Oh ho! Yes, please. Man, he almost looks like Geralt already, doesn't he? What's the difference? Oh. Hello there. But for all of you that are not aware of, well, of the whole Dragon Age franchise, if this is your first time with it, well, that's just fancy. If this is your first time, you know, being introduced to the series, like I said, whenever we will meet story points in which your decisions would affect your gameplay, like the decisions from the first game and the second, and well, I guess it's supposed to, I should explain it in a way why I say 4 games debatably. It's because, like I said, there's Dragon Age Origins. No, I want this one. Nah, that's too much.
As long as the job gets done, I don't care about the rest. I just hope I can help. I just hope I can help.
Yeah, that's much more groovy kind of voice. But yeah, the reason why I say maybe 4 games. It really depends from what you consider. If speaking of Witcher, actually, if you played Witcher, you're very much aware of the DLC they released, the Blood and Wine, where that DLC is almost as massive as the first game, where you unlocked a new zone, new campaign. It was almost like a second game, and it wasn't. It was listed as a DLC, but that's what I mean. It was just the volume of it, that the amount of content within that DLC almost warrants a second game. Well, what is this? Oh. Well, that was the same case for Dragon Age Awakening. Dragon Age Awakening was released for Dragon Age Origins as a DLC. However, the content within the Dragon Age Awakening is so extensive and introduces so many new mechanics, so many new characters, so many new quests, items, concepts, that it almost warrants being its own, a second game, almost. That's why it's really up for debate. Similarly, how Witcher 3 did it with the Blood and Wine DLC. You got the DLC, you went to the new zone, you went to the, entirely new country, and there was entirely new quests, items, characters that you didn't think you would interact with, but you did. And that gives a lot of people made there was, well, speaking of EA, a lot of people, that's too Asian, a lot of people considered that DLC to be so extensive that it became a joke that this is released for free and it's a second campaign. And look at somebody like, the devs of Saints Row, where they created a DLC and released it as a full game. Well, it was meant to be a DLC. Now, fair enough, they made some excuses. They said that, that it was so big that they consider it justifiable. What is this? They consider it justifiable to release that thing as this whole new game. If it's true, like I said, that's a whole different kind of basket of issues. However, forgetting that, Dragon Age Awakening that provided you that, so it's up to your own interpretation. It was listed as a DLC, so say DLC, and there's only 3 Dragon Age games, that's fine. In my personal opinion, I almost consider the Dragon Age Awakening to be its own game, considering that it had the impact from that game is also massive on the Dragon Age world that you're playing. The choices you've created in that game, or I'm gonna call it game. That's just my choice. Sorry if that annoys you, but the things you've done in that game, I don't want to give too many spoilers because I still want you to play it, because it's honestly really good. It's engaging in a ways that games are no longer engaging. It provides you with so much personalization that you wish you could have in today's modern RPG. What the fuck? In today's modern RPGs. Oh man, I like those lips. They're focused lips. They're very focused. They're not too sticky outy, not too pompous, but pompous enough. Oh. Let's narrow it down. He's a nitty gritty. That's it. There we go. Lip thickness. What is this? Oh. Oh, jawline. We need a strong jawline. We're a warrior guy. We need a strong jawline. There we go. Good burly ass. There we go. That's it. Fill up them cheeks. No, that's too big. Cause it's looking weird. More narrow, that's it. More focused. It's the man of conviction. Focus. Pure that. Oh fuck yeah, we need a badass chin right there. Chin side. Ooh, that's not a chin. Oh, it is a chin. We can have double chin. Oh well. Adam's apple. I don't want Adam's apple. It always looks weird. No, anyway, oh yeah, a little Adam's apple. A little bit. Not too much, but still enough. Oh yeah, scars. That's it. We're a Witcher. We need maximum scars, don't we? Maybe a little bit too many scars. A little bit less, maybe. Maybe. That seems good. Scar intensity. I'm not gonna keep it that way, just need to see. I mean, like, you can move scars if you want to. How badass is that? Oh yeah, mate. Look at that eye. Boop boop. How badass is that? Now let's lower the intensity by just a bit so they're not like bulging out, just like they're somewhat healed. You know, he's been doing it for a long while. It's just some scars. A tattoo. Where's the tattoo? Oh, there's the tattoos. Now I know Witcher didn't have any tattoos, but you know, we can look through them, see what they're about. Interestingly enough, in the Dragon Age series, tattoos actually do hold some meaning sometimes, depending on your race. For example, elves have two different civilizations. Oh yeah, you could call it that. Two different societies within the eyeshadow. How fab do we want to be? Pretty fab. Yeah, look at that's too much fab. Slightly more, that's it. What is this? What does this do? Oh, under brow shadow. That's cool. Let's just keep it black. Eyeliner? You can choose eyeliner? Oh, to underline them cat eyes. We're not gonna do any blush, are we? Please no lipstick. No, please. Normal lips. There we go. That's pretty girl-y. I'd say so, yeah. Oop. Yeah, that's good. Rename. You know, just so we don't get copyrighted strike, let's call him Gerald. Gary. That's good. Gerald, Gary, you know, that's almost the same. Close enough. And here we can see Gary. If you look around, look, it's not too much of a spoiler, but at this current moment we're in a physically, not spiritually, we're physically in the Fade. And that is a big thing. And I'll explain later on why that is a big thing. But why are we in there? You're gonna find out in a minute. Here got some void creatures, some Fade. Interesting thing about it, that's not actually what Fade creatures are. I mean, at this current moment there are. Symbolism! And we're back to the real world. Some of our fans out there. Yeah. Gary's a popular guy, you know. But yeah, what you just seen there was us in the Fade. And what is a Fade, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Fade is almost a reflection, a different side of the world. Imagine our world, Earth, you know, our time, us being in reality. And there is this veil, this sheet that separates our world from the Fade. But the Fade is almost a reflection of our world, just very much more on a spiritual, magical spectrum. Now let's see what's going on here. I'll continue on with the Fade in a minute. Here we go. Our captors. What you gonna do to me? Hello there.
Tell me why I shouldn't kill you now. The conclave is destroyed. Everyone who attended is dead, except for you.
Now, Conclave. Conclave was a gathering that was made so that the infighting between the mages and Templars would cease. Because of the events of Dragon Age 2, a war broke out between mages and Templars. And this conclave was a gathering, a convention of a sorts, to gather the leaders, the main people, the representatives of mages and Templars, bring them together and you talk it out to stop this war, because it's potentially one of the worst wars out there. It's essentially a race war in a matter of speaking. However, things, shit hit the fan. Remember that building exploding in the intro? Yeah, that was the place where the conclave is. The Templars on the right side and the mages walking there on the left side. Yeah, people went there by the dozens. Hundreds. And then it went up and exploded on us. So you can imagine the problem of that. The vacuum that it created. All the leaders from both factions kaboomed out of the fucking existence. Only person that went out of it alive, the only person that attended the conclave, that gathering. Hello, it's Gary. So yeah, Gary doesn't say much. Gary's a stoic man. What is this?
I can't.
What do you mean you can't?
I don't know what that is, or how it got there.
You're lying!
We need him, Cassandra.
Yeah, this thing. Some dialogues give you the opportunity to respond emotionally to the situation when the opportunities appear. Special icons will highlight the emotion tied to the response. Not really. Just saying it now, not really. This is on part due to the mechanics behind your choices. This kind of system was essentially introduced in Mass Effect series. Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Awakening was operating on an entirely different dialogue system. Much more superior dialogue system, in my personal opinion. And the reason is, if you ignore that little left box on the side there, what's on the bottom screen? You know, if you ignore that big box and the dialogue choosing option, what is there? Nothing. Just a little bit of armor, a bit of dark, shadowy, background. Nothing is in there. And this dialogue thing we got here, it's stuck in the middle and barely tells you anything. You know why I say barely tells you what your choice is gonna be? Now look at this. The option, let me go. Right? This is your dialogue choice. Your dialogue choice is to say, let me go. Right? Let's see how that works out for you.
Whatever you think I did, I'm innocent.
Do you remember what happened? How this
Whatever
began?
you think I did, I'm innocent.
I remember running. Things were chasing me, and then a woman.
A woman?
She reached out to me, but then
Go to the fort Camp Liliana. I will take you to the river.
what did happen?
Now we're going to get a little bit of an exposition.
It will be easier to show you.
I'll let you guys hear it out, and then... Man, Gary's so badass. And now Cassandra here is gonna give us the exposition as to what occurred. And I'll try to fill out any gaps that she leaves off. There you go, the rift.
We call it the breach. It's
Or
a
the breach,
massive
whatever.
rift into the world of demons that grows larger with each passing hour. It's not the only such rift, just the largest. All were caused by the explosion of the conclave.
An explosion can do that?
This one did. Unless we act, the breach may grow until it swallows the world. Each time the breach expands, your mark spreads, and it is killing you. It may be the key to stopping this, but there isn't much time.
Yeah, so as Cassandra told us, the big butthole in the sky, that's shitting out demons. It's a bad thing, because the more demons are shit out by the big sky Jaina, the more closer to death you are. So immediately we get, a little bit of a desire to close the sky Jaina, because if we don't, Gary's dead. We can't let Gary die. But as you can tell by the choice of dog, it wasn't exactly what you intended it to be. And that's why I refer to the Dragon Age Origins dialogue mechanic, where the word what you wanted to say, the whole sentence that you wanted to say, or even, remaining silent, it was written out to you across the bottom of the screen. You had, option 1, 2, 3, 4, and in each of those options you had the whole sentence, or even two sometimes, that listed out what exactly was it that you wanted to say. If you wanted, for example, in this case, say like, what do you mean? What did I do? In Dragon Age Origins, that would be written out to you. Your character would, in fact, have an option to say, you would know what he was going to say. In this one, it's mainly just guesswork. This is just kind of a generalization of what it is you're going to say. But it is manageable, you know, not a big thing, just an annoying nitpick. In my opinion, the Dragon Age Origin was a superior dialogue system. It was used in Baldur's Gates as well, and that's a very well done RPG, and you know, that's pretty much it. Well,
You say it may be the key. To doing what?
what do you think he does?
Whether that's possible is something we shall discover shortly. It is our only chance, however. And yours.
You think I'm guilty? Is what I would probably want to say, but I'm not.
You still think I did this? To myself?
Not intentionally. Something clearly went wrong.
And if I'm not responsible?
Someone is. And you are our only suspect. You wish to prove your innocence? This is the only way.
Well, you know, Gary's a good
I
guy.
understand.
Then
I'll do what I can. Whatever it takes.
Exactly. Gary's on a mission now. We'll do what we can.
they have decided your guilt. They need it. The people of Haven mourn our most holy, divine Justinia, head of the Chantry. The conclave was hers. It was a chance for peace between mages and Templars. She brought their leaders together. Now they are dead. We lash out like the sky, but we must think beyond ourselves, as she did. Until the breach is sealed. There will be a trial. I can promise no more. Come. It is not far.
Where are you taking me?
To the breach,
Your
dipshit.
mark must be tested on something smaller than the breach.
Oh yeah. Now, again, I'll fill out the gaps that Cassandra over there didn't. Divine Justinia. The character Divine Justinia essentially is correspondent to equivalent of our Pope
We are heading into the valley.
from, you know, the Christianity. The title Divine is essentially the title of a Pope. And the Chantry, you know, the church. For the reason for this is that the religion of the Chantry in Dragon Age series is very much inspired by the religion of Christianity. It has the same symbolisms, apart from the cross not being used, you know, for not copyright strikes, but the general idea and the general schematic of the faith is what is used in Dragon Age series for the Chantry. There is an equivalent of a Virgin Mary, there is an equivalent of a god, there is an equivalent of angels, there's equivalent of heaven, there's equivalent of hell. It's just, you know, different names used for it, and it's represented in slightly different ways. But like I said, the schematic is essentially the same. And the Divine Justinia was the Pope, and the Pope orchestrated this conclave to stop the battle between those guys, the Templars and the mages, you know, all around the world. However, as you can probably tell by the big sky Jaina, that didn't work out too well. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop calling you a sky Jaina.
The pulses are coming faster now.
I'm not really. I want to keep calling it sky
The
Jaina.
larger the breach grows, the more rifts appear, the more demons we face.
How did I?
you stepped out of the rift, then fell unconscious. They say a woman was in the rift behind you. No one knows who she was. Everything farther in the valley was laid waste, including the temple of sacred ashes. I suppose you'll see soon enough.
I suppose I will. Anyway, as I was saying, the Pope orchestrated the conclave. Leaders of both factions were there, and it got kaboomed. And now we've got a problem, because the leaders of everything, the main faith, are dead. And they blame us for doing it. Now we of course know that Gary didn't do it, did he? Did he? Well, we're gonna find out. However, let's just walk across this safely looking bridge. Hey guys, how you doing? And here we go, the first introduction to the combat within Dragon Age Inquisition.
Stay behind me!
No way. Gary found a weapon. Gary's gonna go to town. Shit, that's so big. Oos. 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 Come at me, brother. Oos. Haha. Squished him into the fucking floor.
It's over.
Drop your weapon. Now!
Hey, damn girl. Yeah, sure, geez, fine.
All right. Have it your way.
Wait. I cannot protect you. And I cannot expect you to be defenseless.
Sounds reasonable.
I should remember you agreed to come willingly.
You should. Anyway, now that we
Take these
got a...
coats. Make a note what we will face.
Yeah.
Where are all your soldiers?
At the forward camp for fight. We are on our own for now.
What do we got here? A Templar helmet. And here we go, that's the inventory screen for this whole thing. It's not a... Ooh, that's pretty cool. I want that. Hell yeah. Gary's a warrior now. And there is an option in your menu. If you think this looks dumb and you don't want it, there is actually an option in the menu that you can make all helmets invisible.
There! Watch out!
I teraz spierdoliłeś, Pezzi.